Hello and welcome. Today is the 8th day of September 2017. In this video, I'm going to go over a whole bunch of different codes. I have no plan for how many I'm going to do or how long the video is going to be, but my plan is to go through them very quickly and very efficiently. So I might have to put a little bit of extra time with some, but it's just want to see how well I can do in using that type of plan. And I might do this on a weekly basis, just go through a longer one where I go through each one of them quickly. As far as any trading that's done, it's upon your own risk and your own reward for anything you do, as this is how I see the market or what I'm doing. Of course, what you do is based on what you decide for yourself. With all the codes, you can see them in the more information box and the times in which they start, with Litecoin starting first and starting now. And at first note, I see a triangle sideways consolidation. Currently, price action is near the upper end of it, but still a decent ways to go to previous high hit here, here, and here. Support at the 18 average has been playing very well. We do see, however, a lower high within this situation here, but the 18 average is still rising. If there's any forward momentum, I should expect a quick move breaking this resistance, especially with this recent correction, to come back again to another test of previous high. On the 4-hour time frame, we have this key high, this key low. So now what's it going to take out next? This low or this high? I'm going to say that with a question mark because I don't know, but it's in this sideways range until it does such. And on the break of either one, expect a decent size move. With MAID safe on the daily time frame, one of the things worth mentioning, look at how weird, how many of these pierce moves they have. This is a good indication that this is very good for day trading, as we have seen several times how markets retreat really quickly back after going up or down so fast, giving your buys an opportunity to be sold back really quickly. And if you sell, oftentimes you'll be able to buy back cheaper. As far as how the trend is concerned, the 18 average has been finding support, but we can see a major resistance level that even coincides a little bit in here. It also looks similar to an inverted head and shoulders pattern that's shortened the time frame. And on the 3-hour, we can see how big, of course, this level of resistance happens to be. So an eventual break above it, that can make a decent sized move. We can also notice this here, which shows a failed breakdown. Oftentimes from failed moves can cause fast moves in the opposite direction. That hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's an unoften time and it's just going to keep going sideways, but it's in, of course, this neutral band until it's not. And like I stated with Litecoin, or whenever you're in this type of band, once you break either side of the direction, don't be surprised to have fast moves on either side. PIVX is next, and on the daily, I played this maybe like a boss, at least up until here, because I was smart enough to get out of this before this crash happened. But why didn't I get back in for very large gains, at least for a good holding size that would be? And there's a lot of volatility. We can see price action going from over 170 down to 2,700. That's about a 6 or 7 times difference. It's been in a long sideways consolidation. And it's the middle part of it, a little upwards, maybe, it's higher, 2/3, 3/4 higher. Many support tests of this 18 average, and nothing's stopping it right now. And it does seem poised, like it might be ready to break this resistance, which probably look good on a 1-hour chart, I would think. It might either be the 1 or 2. Or we'll do 3 hours time frame, that is. And a lot of these choppy moves, which is very good for day trading, swing trading. There's this established resistance here at the 90 mark and some nice consolidation, but a lot of choppy moves below this 18 average, which we're seeing again in here. What I like about this is after the previous period, a big red candle down matching this support, it's back up again. So short term, even shorter term, this tight consolidation, but breaking in towards this point, getting past this psychological 10 number, this thing could have decent legs and see similar patterns, something like this moving forward. UBQ next on this list, and when this market was rising in May, what I don't do is buy markets as it's rallying like this unless I know something outside out of the fact. So I didn't buy on the way up. But as it's been in this correctionary mode, I have been doing so. So I've been able to pick up a supply within such. I do notice on here that this area of congestion is basically one floor higher than this much longer term area. So a little bit of progress within the sideways movement as we're seeing support within it. And after breaking above here, what it's doing is it's saying, okay, I'm establishing I'm going to go higher by making this break it in here. Yes, I'm going to come back to support, but yeah, the plan is later to break it and then at least make a test of this high. With that being said, whenever you convince a plan like that and it fails, from failed moves comes fast moves in the opposite direction. And if this thing is unable to show any further momentum and we're seeing it break down below this really big 35-ish or so handle, don't be surprised if a fast move not only could come to this level, but maybe even pierce below it. But on the upside, once this thing breaks out past this 75, like I state, a test of this level, and that means it can easily break it for big gains, or you can come up, maybe come back in here and then break it. Those are different scenarios. Let's move on to Ethereum. I haven't talked too much about that recently, and for good reason. It's literally doing absolutely nothing but trading in this range after it traded in this range. And I don't know how long it's going to be until it changes. I could keep drawing lines like this, but you get the point. And either breaking to one side or another, you can expect a decent sized move. And for now, I'm not anything more is needed to be talked about this code. MTL, that as metal, is next on the list, and I wish I could show you a 8-hour chart, 10-hour time frame. A daily, there hasn't been enough days yet for me to show it looking good. This is the 4-hour chart, but what's noticeable here is you have this floor. It congested there for a while, as it did here, but we noticed the patterns changing. Oh, maybe because of what has just occurred in here. See, either what's going to happen is it's just extending its move and it's going to come back into its range, maybe create that failed move. But quite frankly, as it's playing well within this 18 average, if it finds a successful support in here, which it's at right now, short-term established resistance breaking that 32, then maybe it's going to have an upward move and maybe find another place to congest a few days on an upper floor like it did in here and it did here. Let's shorten this out a little bit. This is a 60-minute time frame. Boom, boom, and then not pretty weak. Not bad. Support, support, support. It's been supporting it for quite some time. But we do have this declining 18 average, meaning there's a declining trend in here. And really, if you see prices holding and staying above this 30 level for more time frame, we're talking an hour, for more than about 4 or 5 hours, 3 hours or so, then I think this thing will be ready for a good gain. And then if this thing is unable to hold below here, you probably have to think you'd at least be going towards the 25 and maybe even below that handle into the 24s. OMG, Omi's Go is next on the list, and this one as well. I wish I had a 6-hour, 8-hour time frame because there's not enough days for me to make it look like have the chart present itself like I want to. But what can I see here is that it's been in a constant uptrend from the start up until this point. It was making a very nice pattern of higher highs and higher lows. It's been going up, but at an extremely low rate of ascent. I do see, however, that with the slow rate of ascent, that is, that after this established resistance, which was tested in here, coming back, it's managed to come out towards here, coming in towards this point. So what I want to do is mainly reflect on the time frame that would lead from this point on. So that will be the next shorter term chart. Doing so within the 2-hour time frame. And again, we can see right where this red line is that's where the key level is. So it's at that previous point. It's been in there for 5-6 periods now, or or about half a day, 10, 12 hours. If it's not going to hold, we've seen it go up really well, that this thing could have a decent sized correction at any time. There's been a lot of big gains and a lot of people whom will oftentimes, when a market goes up so fast, you're going to have a big correction at some point. But if that some point is not now, I'll be looking for big gains once I can see the price breaking out past this resistance field. If there is any further declines, we've already seen this low. So maybe in towards this area, but you know what, it'd be really difficult to tell. Fibonacci retracement would be also somewhere around here for a 2/3 level. Maybe the 20 level would be, if you're looking for a very cheap price. And when we look at this on the 4-hour, we can see when we look at this 20, that 20 represents right here. 22 is where it came from before. And of course, someone might say 22 is a better number. One might say it appears as extra. And some might say it's not going to even go there at all, because after we found this support, it eventually did lift off. And we know once it breaks past here, if this thing has the potential, it went from before 22, next like 26, then like 29, so maybe 32, 33 as a possibility. But I'm just picking numbers using simple math. ARC is next on the list, and it's got a very beautiful pattern. As we can see, just the earlier states in here, how it was doing its congestion thing, and then it has its leg higher congestion thing. And well, what happened on the 14th with this big volume? It shot way up in two sessions from 22,000 to looks like around 70,000. That's pretty decent. And it gave up most of those gains, congested in this area, which worked out to be in the area of a resistance area field becoming support. Oftentimes, previous big resistance after a big break becomes big support. Well, this is one of the oftentimes. And since that point forward, after the support level left, and made a slower move, taken a better part of more than 3 days, and from a much higher level to get to this point. And it was a pierce below, but still nicely done. But look at how it's been riding this 18 average of highs for quite some time. This level of short-term resistance is looking to be playing or taken through, but very much an amazing bullish setup, to say the least. We look at this arc formation, and don't be surprised when price action is at around 71, 72, 73 that this thing could even go much, much further fast after that. Yes, it could easily correct lower, but odds do favor that this thing has got good room to go. And well, any type of further corrections, 45 if you're looking for a cheap buy, maybe an area that it could go to, but the odds probably don't favor that. But I don't know what those exact odds would be. GAM Gambit is next on the list, and this is the weekly chart, which has a very nice looking setup. And oh my goodness, on the moves, the 2016 start of the year lows, and at around a couple thousand Satoshi, maybe a bit north of that, 2,500, and it's managed to go up to 350,000, now down to 238. And after this beautiful move here, sideways congestion, amazing move in here with some consolidation on the way up. And then, of course, it's going through such now. But I like how we've started to have the move up towards the upper end. Let's shorten this out to the daily term time frame. Pretty clear resistance area field. Getting here, here, here. And it's had a small pierce above it now within the 18 average, which is declining during this entire run in here. There's the flattening it out. So let me just remove that. Yep, there's the flattening of the band for stage 1 of reversal. Stage 2 is establishing resistance. Stage 3 is coming back to the band. Stage 4 is clearly breaking it. You know, I don't know if this was a clear break, but you know what? Technically this is. And I come from a school of thought, which is my own school, I guess, my own MAID school, that if a situation like this was to come, if it was smart to go long here and it falls down like this, it's still a bullish situation. Heck, I'd rather be long at 23,000 or 230 than I would be at 265. So usually I come in and I would grab positions in situations like this because I think this is, for me, what would be a good ideal entry point. I've been on this a coin for quite some time, so I've been trading it back and forth. So because I'm not in that position, I already have the tokens, but I do like how this is looking right now. Okay, cash is next. And this is just a beautiful swing trading chart where when the markets rise, you put your sell orders in and you have buy orders in for when they fall back lower. But when you look at these moves that occur, there are a lot of wild ones. And we're experiencing it such now. After these 2 days, price action rising from about 2,000 Satoshi to over 8,000, better than a 4x gain. It's fallen from about 8,300 to down to 5,000, so that's 33 on 8. That's about a 40% or so reduction. It has then since rallied 1,700 on 5,000. That's about a 30+% gain. So this is a very, very wild, volatile code. And this is the long-term chart, which I have to show on Bittrex, which we can see a beautiful pattern. At least I see a beautiful pattern as it did its thing in here. You see this little, actually it goes all the way into here. Nice, beautiful sideways upwards consolidation, really. And then a beautiful leg higher. There's your consolidation back down. Huge volatility going back to where it came from and rising back higher. This thing has the potential, I think, for a decent leg breaking above this, at least on a technical analysis standpoint. Let's shorten this out to a much shorter term time frame, back to the regular charts. And what I see here after that beautiful up move is what's been a very nice, healthy consolidation point. Now notice the size of this range from basically 6,000 to 7,000. That's almost 17-18% top to bottom only in this pattern as it's playing through. As it's been stated, it's a very good up move. What's nice about it, considering we haven't seen anything like this where it goes up fast and then gives back most to all of the gains. It hasn't done that. It's only given back a little bit, so far at least. But it's congested enough time in here where breaking in towards this area, okay, we've corrected enough time after this gain. You have a move higher. You need a little bit of time to breathe, as one might state. And then that give you technical indicators that it's ready to go off. But furthermore, we've seen a lot of wild up and down moves. So expect the same thing if there's any break amongst here as well. And let's move on. UNB is unbreakable, and like the previous coin, OK Cash, same sort of wild, choppy movements. And there's really nothing special to talk about it for any type of moving trend. But it gives me the idea that if I'm able to sell anywhere in here, I should easily buy back cheaper. And if I happen to buy down in here, I should probably end up being able to sell it off for a profit after all. If you look at playing the strategy of, oh, all these sell orders comes in, easy to buy back, easy to sell, easy to buy back, easy to sell. You've bought it back, you sell, you buy it back. You see how the story goes. Let's move on to the next chart. CPC is Capricorn and volume extreme. Look at this volume. Yeah, I mean, nothing more to be stated. Huge rise to the upside, making it towards this resistance area field after some wild moves that occurred, finally having its breakdown. But when we take a look at this at a more longer term point of view, I'm going to put that on the screen now. And we'll use the weekly time frame and look at what happened at the end of 2015. Going from about 15,000 Satoshis up to 800,000. I mean, this is beyond insanity. And then it all falls back down. And look at this 18 average, which this is the pump and dump move, I guess you look for. I guess silver had this same sort of look in 1980, I guess. I don't know. But then the wild breakthrough here, another chance of testing it. It tested it in here at about 160. The next test came in 65% lower in the 50s and 60s and 40s. And then it just grinded lower, below it, resisted the band again, lower, resisted the band again, and finally broke out above it. So therefore, when this thing got above the 18 average highs, this was the first close above the 18 since it broke down, of course, back in here. Therefore, step one, establish resistance, which you really got to say is here. Now, interestingly enough, it broke out above here, but you really didn't have much of a fast move, failed move. But, that's why I say if this little breakout is going to create a fast move, I would think it would have at least to the previous low. And I guess it did just that. So it wasn't that fast of a move down. But with that being stated, for the reversal of trend, I'm looking for the clear break above the resistance. It tried here, but no. Tried again, but no, and now it looks as if that's what it's going to try and do again. This thing has been going sideways on its 18 average now for pretty much the duration of the year since the spring has begun, or a half a year or a little under. And you got to think breaking out above here is it could have some interesting gains. I'd be looking next at a move maybe close to this previous high in here as maybe a potential further target. And if it breaks down below here, the message of the market with this high volume, big green candle to me is stating that, hey, a statement, we're basically breaking out. Okay, go ahead and do that. But if you fail, fast move to the downside, and the support level at around the 10,000 handle, piercing below in the 9,000 or so area. Breaking that, you're probably talking about, I've calculated 4,000 is where I would think it would go to, if of course that's the situation. But for now, the statement's been made, and on a break above here, don't be surprised if there could be some nasty gains amongst this code. And we'll finish it off within Pathetic Coin, PTC, making it a baker's dozen, 13 different codes. So it looks like the average is about 1.5 to 2 minutes per coin. And this daily chart shows the wild moves I was talking about with like OK Cash, but so obvious that if you were every single time that you sold in here, you were able to buy back. It's harder now because the price action is stabilizing during this resistance area field. 18 average now starting to get happy, starting to go north after this sideways movement. Hey, this thing could be pretty interesting as we move forward. And within this 4-hour time frame, I guess with like all of these cryptocurrencies, when these things are ready to go, do they just go boom, big move higher? And they can consolidate really well. And notice the scrunching pattern in here as you make the support level. And then the support and resistance goes down. The 18 average gets crunched a little bit. Finally breaks. Oh, fast move. Okay. Now volatility extreme enters. Because you come up here, go from 1060 down to north of 700. Okay, about 350 down. Helps your 30% correction. Stock market, you're talking about the biggest crash in the world. No, but here, just a correction, just a correction. 730 up to about north of about 15 and change, so that's about 100% gain from point A to point B. And now it's going through its correctionary stage as we're looking at this. Okay, interesting stuff. So we've had situations where it went straight up in here, it went straight up here, it went straight up here, heck, even a little bit in here. Don't be surprised if when it's ready to do it again that we will see that. Okay, a little over 25 minutes. I'm a little exhausted, so that will be it. And man, I have to think that with all the information out there for different channels, that this has got to be amongst one of the best channels out there for cryptocurrency analysis. But I don't really watch much of the other ones, so I really can't comment too well. I'm just proud of how well I can present this information, because I think I did a very good job within this video. So I'm pretty proud of it. And now it's time to relax for the rest of the night and have yourself a good day and good night. Goodbye.